Previously on the Skip and Josh Sports Show.
What bugs me are soccer players and soccer fans.
Oh, come on. I'm a soccer fan.
I know, but listen to this. All these soccer players, they're like they're like delicate geniuses. Oh, the grass has to be perfect and this and that. I mean, come on, give me a break.
You're listening to the Skip and Josh Sports Show.
Skip.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. I'm actually in a good mood today. How are you?
I'm in a great mood. It's always something great to talk about when I'm on with you.
Yes, but it's especially even better today because the holidays are coming up and the holidays are a relaxing time of year for me. So I'm looking forward to that. That's
too.
why I'm happier today than I was a week ago today.
Me too. I actually started my vacation today. I didn't work today.
Oh,
so
I'm jealous.
I'm off now until, the beginning of January. So
And hopefully I'll see you at some point next week.
yeah, for sure.
So where should we start? I think with it being December,
Mm-hmm.
we might want to start with our World Junior Championship preview.
Oh my. You caught me off guard. I'm totally unprepared.
Well, that makes two of us.
Oh, good. So we're authorities on the subject then.
Exactly.
Okay.
Here's what I know about the World Juniors this year. I know that the captain of Team Canada is Dylan Strome.
Yes, I know that too.
I know that Team Canada has won their two pre-tournament games so far.
Yeah, they won easily. I watched a little bit.
I also know that the tournament's being played in Montreal and Toronto, as it was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
which is a big advantage for the Canadian team playing in front of their home crowd.
It's a big advantage, but I mean, it's in Canada practically every 2 years.
It is.
Or
And that's not by accident.
or three,
No, it's
but
every second year.
they
In
have
fact,
to do
2
it.
years from now, it's going to be in BC.
They have to do it because the only place that this tournament makes money is when it's in Canada.
Right, or if it's in Buffalo or Minnesota,
Yeah.
one of those
It was
northern
in North Dakota
states.
one year. Yeah.
Next year it's in Buffalo, and I think actually one of the games, I think the Canada-USA game is going to be played outdoors.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird. I've never seen that in
That's
the
going to be
juniors.
amazing.
It could be. If the weather's bad, it might not be so good.
Well, it'll be like a big televised thing. I'm sure that it's going to be a massive ratings hit and everything. Plus
Yeah.
the attendance. So
I mean, can they fill up a whole? I don't know if it's in the football stadium or in the baseball stadium. I'm not sure where it is, but I don't know if they'll be able to fill it up. I hope they will.
well,
There'll
with
be
the
a lot of
proximity
Canadians traveling.
with the proximity to Toronto, like
I know, but you remember when the
Yeah.
Leafs played at the Big House?
yeah.
That place holds 100,000 people, so it didn't sell out.
No, I remember you told me that you had tickets and you were trying to get rid of them, or
I mean,
someone was.
they weren't my tickets. It was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
But yes, and he ended up getting rid of them, but it wasn't easy. But we're getting off topic. The preview for the tournament, I really have no clue. Canada is favored almost every year.
Well, we're favored almost every year, but we came in sixth last year.
Yes, but I don't think it was closer than the standings would
Yes.
tell you.
Yes.
But you're right. You know what? I didn't really follow the tournament as much last year as I normally do. I find that every year I have less and less interest in the tournament.
Well, it depends on who's on the team. Sometimes there's a real high-profile player, like McDavid and Eichel last year caught everyone's attention. 2 years ago, I should say. And it depends who's on. When there's a really high-profile big prospect, it tends to catch everybody's eye. But like we said, I don't even know half the guys on the team. I mean, I know the guys who are returning from last year. The few of them, like you said, the captain Strome. He's one of the guys coming back. So.
And there's one player who got cut last year who said that that was the reason why, that was the fire that fueled him.
Yeah.
He was drafted by the Canadians. I forget his name.
Noah Juleson.
That could be it. Yes.
Yeah, he's a defenseman.
So he's on the team this year. And
The Canadians have high hopes for him. I remember I've been reading up in the last few months about Canadians prospect at the World Juniors, and he's been a lock. He's there he's been a lock to be on on Team Canada defense from the beginning. There was no doubt that he was going to make it. I don't think.
Well, he was one of the last cuts last year, I think.
Yeah,
So in other words, he was good.
And you know how they
last
work,
year.
right? With the Team Canada, they really favor the 19-year-olds.
Right, which makes sense. You figure
Yeah.
the guy's 19. He should be better than a an
Yeah.
18-year-old or a
Yeah. Well,
17-year-old.
there's no 17s on the team this year. I'm looking at the roster. It's 18s and 19s, which is good. They should have a good team. There's this guy, Philip Myers. I don't know if you heard of him. He's a defenseman. He's 6'4", and he's a crazy skater. He was some kind of super low draft pick by the Flyers. No one, I don't even, possibly even undrafted. One of these late bloomers. No one even knew about him a few years ago, and now all of a sudden he's on Team Canada.
You know what I like about the tournament? I actually prefer when it's not in Canada, not in North America, because the games then are at like 9 in the morning. So you wake up,
Yeah.
during your vacation,
Yeah.
and as you're having breakfast, you get to watch the game.
I like that too, actually, because here it's like
so
you
much
have
better.
to, yeah, you have to worry about your schedule and when you're going to watch the games. But when it's the tournaments in Finland, it's like you pack your day with, start your day with hockey, and then you go on your business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, I'm looking
I'll probably
forward
watch
to it.
less games if they're in prime time.
Well, Team Canada's always in prime time, right? So.
Right. One actually, their game on New Year's Eve against USA is in the afternoon, which I didn't really understand. I still don't understand why it's in the afternoon, but whatever.
Well, I guess they're letting the players party that night.
Really don't know which team's favored or not.
It's always the same cast of characters: Canada, USA, Russia, Sweden, maybe Finland sneaks in. But
Sure.
it's the usual suspects.
It's a fun time of year.
Well, I mean, look, the tournament's always fun, and and as you said, I think we'll talk about it more as it goes on. It's only like a 2-week thing, anyways, but we'll definitely talk about it some more as the tournament gets going.
The Skip and Josh Sports Show. They don't take your calls.
So Jaromir Jagr
Oh, Jaromir Jagr.
was all over the TV last night. That he got 3 points, so now he passed Mark Messier, or he tied him. Sorry, he's imminently going to pass him. Tied Mark Messier for number 2 overall all-time in points scored in NHL, and obviously Jagr would probably be 100 ahead by now, at least, maybe even 150 if he hadn't gone to Russia for a couple of years. And Jagr's a great player. I don't want to talk about Jagr, to be honest. What I do want to talk about is, I don't know. We've had this conversation before, but I forget where you stand. Like, are you one of these guys that thinks Mario Lemieux is better than Gretzky?
No.
No. Okay, good. So, so I won't yell at you now. But there are these people that you come across that say, "Oh, Gretzky's not the greatest of all time. It's Lemieux." I'm like, okay, whatever. Or Gretzky's not the greatest of all time. It's Bobby Orr. That I could at least deal with because we're talking about a different position, a different era.
Yes. If you made an argument for Bobby Orr, I would listen
Yeah.
to it because, like you said, a different position and a different era.
Yeah.
And he was a trailblazer for his time.
Yeah.
Before him, defensemen never really scored any points. They were just
They
supposed
didn't
to
even
be
go into the
defensemen.
other team's zone.
Yeah.
So this is going out to all those people who think that Lemieux is better than Gretzky. As you know, Jagr is second all time now, right?
Yeah.
He is 970 points behind Wayne Gretzky.
Yep.
970. Let that sink in, right? That is a career.
Yeah, that is.
970 points not only is a career, that is a Hall of Fame career. Okay? Maurice Richard had 965 points in his career.
You did way more research than I did this week.
Dave Keon, 986. Rick Middleton, 988. Paul Correa,
Keon,
great player,
his
right?
Names.
989. Like, we're talking about players that have 1,000 points are in the Hall of Fame. Many of them are. And that's the difference between number 1 and number 2. So when you're talking about the greatest players of all time, there's Wayne Gretzky and there's everybody else. So you remember when I first met you? I'm not going to name names now, but remember when I first met you and I would tell you, "Oh, I really don't like this person. Oh, I really don't like that girl." And then I was in a class with this girl and I was like, I really couldn't stand her. And you're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with her?" I'm like, "You don't understand. She is the Wayne Gretzky of people that I don't like." So
do
that means
remember you saying
there's
that.
people that you don't like, and then there's the Wayne Gretzky of people that you don't like. And for me, that was this one person. But, I mean, he's so far ahead of everybody else that I can't even fathom the conversation of, Lemieux is better than him. So I think we'll just end the topic right now.
No, no,
I said what
do
I had to say, and people are going to still disagree. They're going to be different era, blah 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 blah. Gretzky's
No,
still
but
the only
Gretzky would be a
Gretzky's still the
player.
only one that got 200 points in a season. Lemieux never
Right.
did it. Stuck at 199, right?
Yes.
And I don't know. I don't know what there is to say other than that he's almost 1,000 points ahead of the next best guy, right? So
I'm just going to add a couple things or one thing.
sure.
I agree with everything you said. And Gretzky is the best player of all time.
Yes.
Now, Mario had an injury-plagued career.
Yes.
So clearly his numbers would be much better than they are if he was healthy.
When you look at point per game, he does have more point per game than Gretzky.
Like Mario ended up with 1,723 points.
But every time
I'm sure he would have broken the 2,000 point barrier if he was healthy.
Possibly,
now, would he have
yes.
caught Wayne Gretzky? I don't think so.
No.
But he would have broken the 2,000 point barrier, and he'd be in second place instead of Jagger.
But anytime you talk about great players, longevity is part of it, right?
Right.
Longevity is part of it. And whether you look at longevity in the whole of their career, Gretzky has more points, and whether you look at just look at their greatest season, Gretzky's still better. Right? So
yeah, listen, I told you I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
Just it would have been nice to see Mario be healthy his entire career. That's all.
yes. And don't get me wrong, we're probably gonna get I'm probably gonna get hate mail about how come you hate Lemieux, how come they hate Lemieux. I don't hate Lemieux at all. I just think Gretzky's the greatest.
Okay.
My favorite play in all of hockey ever. Not
Yes,
one play,
Gretzky's
just like a
Gretzky's coming down the wing against
Yeah.
the Calgary Flames in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and he winds up from outside the face-off circle and beats Mike Vernon over his shoulder. Correct?
Yes, but the nuance of that play is, first of all, he's on the Kings, which is, I'm more of an Oilers Gretzky guy, but
Hold on,
at
wasn't
the time,
he on the Oilers at the
no,
time?
but like the Gretzky the play that I loved when he was on the Kings and he had like the turtlenecks.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
he
the-
still wears
and
those
that's
now,
the-
by the way.
Yeah, and that's at the time when they started to come out, the players started to use like the composite sticks instead of the wood.
Mhm.
So he used to have this shiny silver stick,
Yes.
right? And when he would
remember. He
wind
used to
up for a
blind
slap
goal-
shot, with that silver stick, oh my God, it was heavenly. Wayne Gretzky's slap shot is very underrated.
The reflection of the stick used to
Blinded the
distract
goalies.
the goalie.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think at one point they were considering having a rule that you couldn't use a stick that glistened.
Is this true, or are you making that up?
I'm not making it up. I don't know if they ever talked about it or if it was ever implemented, but you notice I don't think there's any shiny sticks now, are there?
They're not shiny like that one was.
Maybe there's something to it.
Yeah.
Hi there, Skip and Josh will be right back. To get in touch with them, you can send them an email to skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. You can follow them on Twitter @skipandjosh, and you can visit their website at www.skipandjosh.com. And now, back to the show.
So we have a lot to talk about with regards to NCAA basketball.
Oh my.
I'll start with the least important thing.
Okay.
Currently, as we speak, Louisville and Kentucky are playing
Oh,
each other, which
huge rivalry.
it is a huge
obviously.
rivalry. Oh, it's a final. Just ended. Louisville defeated Kentucky 73-70. I didn't see any of the game. I didn't see any highlights.
That is huge.
But it's I mean, Louisville's ranked 10th this year, so they're not exactly
Yeah.
pushovers.
Yeah.
But in the history, John Calipari versus Rick Pitino, I think they faced each other 9 times, and Pitino's only won once up until today.
Wow.
So I'm sure Pitino's thrilled about this victory.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I'm a little happy about the victory too, because I don't like Kentucky. So
Me too.
I wanted to mention that. But more
I
importantly,
don't like Louisville either, but Kentucky, they're hard to root for.
exactly. Actually, let's stay with Kentucky for a minute because I didn't know this. John Calipari's got his own show. I don't know if it's a podcast or a radio show. And his guest, I think it was yesterday or the day before, was Coach K.
Oh, you've done your research today.
I'm stunned that Coach K would agree to be on a show with John Calipari.
No, but there's like this coaching fraternity, even though they're rivals on the court. I feel like all the coaches of these huge Division I powerhouses, they're all buddies, like there's I don't know if they're buddies, but there's a ton of mutual respect amongst the coaches, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, they didn't talk about really college basketball stuff. They talked about NBA stuff and Olympics and things like that.
Yeah.
But it was just interesting to see that he was a guest on the show.
All the pundits are saying that this is the year
All the powerhouses
of the powerhouses. Exactly.
of the top 8 teams, 7 of them are teams that have like the most storied history in college basketball ever, like
Right.
Duke and Kentucky and Kansas and UCLA, Villanova. Baylor's
Yeah.
the only team that's really not considered a blue blood, if you will,
Yeah.
that's in the top 8.
Yeah. Amazing, right?
Which hopefully will be an exciting spring.
Well,
And
March Madness is always great, but I mean, if you imagine you get an Elite Eight with Villanova, UCLA, Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, Louisville, that's like insane, right?
it will be insane.
That's unheard of, Well, I mean, there's always these upsets and these mid majors. There's always one team that makes it, that no one's ever heard of. But I don't know. It seems to be the year of the powerhouses. And like, look, we've talked about it. Everybody knows we're both huge Duke fans. Part of the reason why we became friends in the first place.
Mhm. Yeah.
And when I watched Duke play, like I was in awe. Like I think they're incredibly. It's an incredibly talented Duke team this year. So.
But you and I agree. I think you agree that they were better, in the 90s than they are now.
Oh, for sure, because as
Guys,
good as
guys like
as good
guys
as
like Leitner
yeah,
and Hurley
they
and
played
Hill,
for 4
stayed 4
years.
years.
They played for 4 years. You
And so
can't
you actually got
compare.
to know a player. Like now, a player leaves and like, oh, who was he? What was his name? I forget it. What he even looks like.
But it's also how can you compare an 18-year-old to a 21 or 22-year-old? Like, when you're 18 years old, you're a kid. When you're 22, you're a man.
Yeah, it's
So
just like the same thing with the World Juniors. You'd rather have a 19-year-old on the
yeah,
team than a 17-year-old.
when Leitner, you remember when Leitner started? I mean, look, Leitner played 4 years at Duke. He made it to the Final Four every year, and the first year he was there, he was the freshman. It was Danny Ferry's team, right? And he was he grew and grew and grew until he became this literally the most dominant player in college basketball. So
By the way, we forgot to mention 2 teams in the top 8. You may have mentioned them, but I forgot to mention them. One of them is Gonzaga, and the
yeah,
other one, I think I know why we forgot to mention them, because it's North Carolina.
no, we don't usually talk about them.
No, we don't usually talk about them. I do have some bad news for you. I don't know if you're aware of this. Duke played tonight. They did win. I didn't even know they had a game tonight. They played against Elon.
What the hell is Elon?
So, so Elon's another school, I think, in the state of North Carolina.
Right.
Interesting. Duke beat Elon, an unranked team, by only 11 points, which is a little surprising. But more importantly, what came out of that game, if you haven't seen the highlights, Grayson Allen tripped another player.
I saw it.
And so now this is the 3rd time he's done this in his career. And he's just, to me, if he was on any other team, and even though he's on Duke, I'm going to say it, he's a dirty player.
He is. And
You
you
know?
know how much I love Grayson Allen.
I know.
I love that
You
guy.
do it once, it's one thing, but you do
Yeah.
it 3 times, you're a dirty player.
Remember what you said about Andrew Shaw and the Habs?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said I'm a fan of the I quote you. You said I'm a fan of the Habs, but I'm not a fan of Andrew Shaw.
Right. So,
And
I mean, I don't know how I'm going to like this guy going
they
forward.
warned him about it, and I saw the quote from him in the off season. He's saying, "I'm trying to put all this behind me. I know how I have to play, and it's one thing to play hard, but basketball, it's not a physical sport like football or hockey, right? It's not the same.
Mm.
There's no reason to do that kind of shenanigans. Like, there's
And
no
he didn't
reason
get
for it.
suspended or anything, no ramifications last year when he did it.
No.
I'm hoping that he gets suspended either by the team or by the league or something. When I say the league, I mean the ACC conference. Unfortunately, it wasn't an ACC game, so I don't even know if the ACC can do anything about it.
Yeah, I'm not
But
sure.
but like Coach K should suspend him.
He should. He should.
And I don't know who their next game is against, but it doesn't matter. He should suspend them.
Well, they're probably going into the Christmas break now, right?
They don't start the ACC conference schedule until the 31st, and that's actually their next game against Virginia Tech.
New Year's Eve, Virginia Tech, and then they play January 4th, and it's the season starting.
Anyway, I mean, you know what? Duke should be able to win a game without Grayson Allen. They
Of
have
course,
such
they're
stacked
loaded.
roster. So I don't think that should come into the factoring of whether he gets a suspension or not.
But did you see the play? I haven't seen it yet.
I did see it online, yes.
Is it dirty?
It's dirty. I mean, whatever. He didn't he wasn't going to hurt the other opponent.
Right.
but he clearly did it intentionally. It wasn't like an accident.
Oh God, that's too bad.
You can watch it later.
I will.
Yeah, anyway, the other thing was Duke played against Tennessee State a couple days ago, another unranked team, and won the game, but only by 10. So I'm not really sure. They beat UNLV 94-45 a week or 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Not even.
Yeah.
And then they played Tennessee State and Elon. And
you get your hopes up. When you win by, you can't win by 20 every game. Teams are good.
No, but
Tennessee,
they beat UNLV 94-45.
I know.
That's more than double.
Tennessee State, they're first in their conference. Like right now, so like they're not. Even though we never heard of them, they're not. You have to show up every game. You can't expect every game to be a blowout.
Fair point.
Check out the Skip and Josh Sports Show on Twitter. You know that little app with the little blue Tweety bird? Yeah, you can follow them there at Skip and Josh.
Well, there was a trade in baseball this week.
There was?
Yes.
Oh, yes, sure.
The Red Sox, who apparently have too much pitching. I don't know that any team can have too much pitching because someone's going to get injured during the season.
Yeah.
They dumped some salary. They traded Clay Buchholz to the Phillies. I wonder what Mark thinks of this deal.
He's going to love it.
For a minor league second baseman.
I know. Clay Buchholz, though, he had so much promise, that guy. He looked so great. There's times where he seems so dominant, but he can't stay healthy. And, it gets to the point where you're no longer a prospect, right?
No, he's been in the league, 10 years now? He's not a prospect.
Like, you keep thinking, but they keep thinking like, oh, he's going to turn it around. Oh, he's going to put it together. But he's not. He's
he's not going to win a Cy Young, but
he's a serviceable pitcher.
Clay Buchholz on, I think, 15 out of 30 major league teams would be their second or third starter.
I don't know about that. Maybe
that's
fourth.
what I think.
But I don't know. Well, look, he's gonna be on the Phillies. So we'll see.
The Phillies don't have anyone. He'll be their first or second starter on that
Mark
team.
said they're loaded with pitching prospects, so maybe they just want a guy who's gonna pitch innings. But he's not the guy to pitch innings. He's not a guy. He's the guy that's gonna blow out his arm in spring training.
He in the AL East, where he's been pitching his whole career.
Yeah.
Last season, his ERA was under 5.
Under 5, I know.
I know, under 5 doesn't sound good, but these days...
It's not the worst, but it's still not good.
4 is a decent ERA these days. I know, like back in the day when we were following baseball in the 80s and 90s, 4 would be awful.
Yeah.
But these days, 4.5, a lot of pitchers have a 4.5 ERA.
Yeah, but it's like you need to be able to pitch. I just don't think he can sustain like a full season. So
that's possible. Anyway, They unloaded his salary.
Okay.
And the Phillies were willing to pay him. I guess they're well below the salary cap. I don't know. Their roster's
the
loaded
cap
with
is
AAA
not,
guys.
Yeah.
So they were willing to take on his salary, and now the Red Sox have a minor league second baseman who's not going to play because of Dustin Pedroia. So you may never hear from this guy again.
Right. The big news in baseball this week was that Bryce Harper got married in secret.
I saw that.
I don't know
that he was engaged to that girl, then they broke it off, then they got back together again?
Really?
Yes.
We should have a social section on the podcast.
The Skip and Josh Sports Show is back.
The NFL.
The NFL, yeah.
The NFL drives me crazy.
Well, do you want to fill the listeners in on what happened in our fantasy football?
In a minute. But before we get to that,
yeah,
I was worried about something, and it might still happen. I was worried that I don't like the playoff system in the NFL. I don't like that if you win your division, you're automatically in the playoffs. Because it looked like the winner of the AFC South was going to have a worse record than a team that didn't make the playoffs.
It's happened before.
It's happened many times. Right now, Houston is the team, which, by the way, Houston sucks.
Well, they've got some guy no one ever heard of at their quarterback.
Fred Savage, the guy from the Wonder Years. He's the quarterback.
But what's his real name? It's Tom Savage, right?
I think it's Tom.
Yeah, it's Tom.
Or it could be that guy we used to play softball against. Who knows?
Yeah, it could.
He's better than Brock Osweiler, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, Houston's 8-6, and now, if the season ended today, Baltimore and Tennessee and Denver.
But this is actually stressing you out, right? It's stressing you out that this scenario could occur.
It is. It's not stressing me out, but it's just annoying because if you have a better record, like last year, the Jets didn't make the playoffs. They had a better record than one of the teams that did make the playoffs. If you have a better record, you should be in. Who cares what division you're in?
Yeah.
Why do you play the whole season? Why do you play 16 games or whatever
it's not
it
a
is?
balanced schedule. Like they play their teams in their division twice. So
Okay,
of all the
so
leagues, at least they do have an argument about the division format. In the rest of the sports, it's kind of ridiculous.
look, NHL has problems with their playoff format as well.
Yeah.
In fact, the league that does it the best is the league I care about the least. It's the NBA. They just take the top 8 teams.
Yeah.
In the conference, which is what the NHL should do also. It's very simple.
They just rank them and that's it, right?
Yeah, there you go. In any case, right now, because Houston won their game, it's looking okay, but there's 2 weeks to go and anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a personal thing I want to get off my chest. This isn't what bugs me, but because the Redskins screwed me this past week, I hope they lose every game for the rest of their existence. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, look, I told you on air and off air that it was very risky to go with all those Redskins. When we last left, Josh, you were starting Andrew Luck at quarterback in your fantasy game.
Yeah.
Then you text me Sunday morning, I'm starting Kirk Cousins.
And I also said I'm screwed because I should never have changed it.
And I was like, you put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Right. Well, it was because Luck was playing against Minnesota, who I thought until a few days ago.
But you wouldn't have won
even
if you used Luck. You wouldn't.
Right. I wouldn't have won even if I used Luck. I would have had a higher score, but I wouldn't have won. So that's not why I lost. I lost Jamison Crowder got me 0. That's why I lost.
Why are you even
and
Devontae Adams
on Green Bay dropped 2 touchdown passes. 2. All he had to do was catch 1. But anyhow, that's why I lost.
So that's it. So now you're cursing the Redskins forever.
Well, here's the thing. Never mind my fantasy team. I mean, my fantasy team lost. It was a bad team anyway. I had no business being there. But think about this. You're on the Redskins or you're a Redskins fan, okay?
Yeah.
You basically, on Sunday, without even playing, you vaulted into a playoff spot because another team lost.
Yeah, everything went their way. Everything.
Yes. So you vaulted into a playoff spot without even playing. Then you're playing against Carolina, a team whose season is done. They don't even care. They played awful 2 weeks ago against Seattle. They're like just going through the motions. And you're playing on Monday night, at home, in prime time, everything you could possibly want. And what do? They were awful, the Redskins. If I'm a player on that team or a coach on that team or a fan of that team, I'm livid at that team right now.
And you know their coach deferred the kickoff again, right?
Yeah, he does it every game because he thinks he's Bill Belichick and he thinks he's the New England Patriots.
But the thing is, I just wanted to bring up the kickoff because I knew it happened. I couldn't care less about if he defers, if he doesn't defer. But if you think they lost because they deferred the kickoff, then you're crazy because they lost because they lost.
They lost because they lost. I'm not saying it's because of the kickoff, but
it sets the tone for the game. I understand.
So Carolina scored on their first drive.
Again, just like what happened last time. Yeah.
Right, and so now a guy like Cam Newton, he doesn't really care about this game. So if he's up by 7-0 or if he's up by any score, he'll be like, oh, this is fun, let's play. But if he's down by a field goal or a touchdown or something, he might just pack it in and say, you know what, I don't really care about this game. We're losing anyway. Whatever. I don't have to really pay attention or bother or try my hardest.
Wow.
So if you get an early lead, it's sort of like it disheartens the opponent a little bit. Anyway,
it does.
You know what? I'm not a football coach. I think the coin toss should be abolished anyway. You know that.
Yeah.
I'm just. The Redskins, whatever, they deserve to not make the playoffs.
Well, they're hanging in right now, even with a loss. But
right now they're not in. Right now,
but if they would have won, they would have really put themselves in a great position. Now they're battling it out with everybody, right?
Their last 2 games.
Yeah, now they're battling it out with
that they get some help from other teams.
Yeah, the Lions, the Bucks, everybody. Like now they're in the mix. So.
And I mean, if you're going to ask me, who do I like to make the playoffs between the Washington Redskins and the Green Bay Packers?
Well, the Packers seem to be really hot right now.
Exactly. I'm going to take the Packers.
I think Aaron Rodgers just got really pissed, and he's like, look, we are better than this. I don't know what got said in their locker room or if anything got said, but they're on a crazy roll. Not just him, everybody. And they have no running back. They have 0. They have a guy wearing number 88 playing running back.
He had a great game last week.
Or maybe 89. I don't know.
No, it is 88. You're right. He's a wide receiver, but he was a running back in college. So, by the way, even when Green Bay was playing badly this year, they've lost 6 games. If you look, Aaron Rodgers has had great numbers all season long.
They had a lot of injuries on defense.
Despite his wide receivers being awful this year, all of them. It's not his fault.
They had Sam Shields and injured, the corner, and Clay Matthews, the leader on their defense. They were both injured.
Yes.
And maybe, and whether they come back or not doesn't necessarily matter, but there's like a short-term kind of shock where some random fifth-round pick all of a sudden has to start, and it's too fast for him, right? And what we as fans don't always realize is the value of practice in the NFL. A lot of stuff happens in practice, and you need to be a full participant in practice, getting the reps with the first teams to be able to play on Sunday. And I think sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't.
No, that
I
guy's
wouldn't go
money.
against him. He's
That
money.
guy's money.
Yeah.
I mean, even though Green Bay might squeak in as a wild card team, I wouldn't be surprised if they went all the way to the Super Bowl. We sort of talked a little bit about fantasy, so let's just finish off the topic.
So Mark,
obviously, I lost my game.
Yeah. You lost to
in
Mark,
semis.
who was undefeated. Well, he had one loss in the
Right.
regular season, and he beat you. And now he's playing Book. So
Who
it's interesting.
actually- Book was not favored to win that game
No.
because Book's team was also under 500 in the regular season.
Yeah.
But he won easily over Neil. But one thing about Mark's team, well, he told us when he was on, he's had musical chairs at quarterback. He's going with Jameis Winston this week.
Which is smart because they're playing the Saints. So that's always a high-scoring game.
That's fine, but what you don't realize about Mark's team, one of his key players that he's had all season long, Melvin Gordon on San Diego, is
he's
injured, and that's going to come back to haunt him. I mean, haunt him.
We'll see who he uses. Right now he's got
Because-
Thomas Rawls in, but I don't know.
Mark's running backs are great. He's got David Johnson and DeMarco Murray. His running backs are great. But the rest of his lineup is relatively ordinary compared to Book's lineup.
Yeah. So who are you cheering for?
I'm not cheering for either one.
It's great. They were both our guests, right?
Yes.
We have
they
our
were.
Atlanta guy and our Philly guy.
That's right.
I'm
That's
not
right.
cheering for either of them. I hope the score is 0-0.
Now, I need to mention,
Yeah.
you had your best week ever in Pigskin Pick'em.
Oh, I didn't even follow it.
Well, I was 8-8.
Yeah.
You had 11 correct picks.
Is that the best week of any one of us have had this year?
Yes, my best week was 10, and your best week was 11.
Wow.
So,
Well,
congrats to you.
in the spirit of that, I guess maybe I should pick a game this week. I'll give you my lock for the week.
Okay, you give me your lock for the week, and I'll give you my lock for the week.
With the spread we're talking about.
Right, with the spread.
Okay.
So is your lock of the week New England over the Jets?
Well, the thing with that game is the spread is 16.5, which
That's
is
why I'm asking you.
I can't in good conscience pick that. I'm going to actually pick the Jets. I just can't give up 16.5 points. It's too much.
I'm going with the Patriots in that game.
Oh my god.
'Cause
I
the
mean,
Jets
they
are awful.
probably will get it, but I find it hard to
get it.
I can't pass up 16.5 points.
Listen, if you're asking me if I would put money on it, no chance.
No, I wouldn't bet on it either way, but if I had to choose, I would take the points, right?
Okay. So what's your lock of the
I
week?
think it's the Giants over the Eagles.
Let me find that game.
The Giants are favored by 2.5. The Eagles are getting 2.5 points. The
Yeah.
Eagles are a hot, stinking mess.
Agreed. Well, not as bad as the Jets and the Niners.
Yeah,
and those
but
teams.
they're so mixed up. Mark texted me during the week and he asked me to talk about the Eagles on the show. I wasn't really going to do it, and right now Doug Peterson's getting raked over the coals in Philadelphia because they went for two. You know what happened last week? They tied the game in 4
Yeah.
seconds left, and they went for two for the win, and then they didn't get it. And he's getting killed in the media. But I got a little bit of clarification. I listened and I read some Philly media and this week, and it's a buildup of decisions that he's made. You know, there's games where they went for field goals when they shouldn't have when they should have tried to go for it, or vice versa. You know, like. And then there's other games where he made some kind of crazy bad challenge on a challenge play, which made no sense. And then there's another game where he let Carson Wentz throw 60 times. So I think the media in Philadelphia is really questioning Peterson, and they're questioning his decision making. And then, of course, he goes for two with 4 seconds left. Now, the thing is, anybody who's criticizing him for going two with 4 seconds left should just shut up. They really should just shut up. Everybody loves when they go for two. All the fans wanted, right before that play happened, I guarantee you 99% of fans were all saying, let's go for two, right? Only when they didn't make it, oh, let's fire the coach, right? Remember for week one, with the Oakland Raiders, the Oakland Raiders this year. They
Yeah.
went for 2. Everybody's like, what a genius. He's got the confidence of his team. He can read the pulse of his team. He knows exactly what to do. He's only a genius because they got it. Right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get it, everyone's saying fire him. So honestly, that 2-point conversion, the Eagles are out of it.
Honestly, what are we doing here anyway?
Yeah, let him roll the dice and go for 2, right? Who cares? Didn't make a difference for anything. Actually, it helped the team they were playing, right? Because now the Baltimore might have escaped with a win that they needed instead of maybe going overtime.
My lock of the week: Tennessee is favored over Jacksonville by 4.5. I'm going with Tennessee.
I like that.
That's my lock.
Jacksonville fired their coach, so you can't underestimate the little bump that the Jacksonville players might get by getting motivated with a new coach.
It's a home game for the Jaguars.
New
That's
coach,
true.
they want to impress the new coach. There's some extra motivation there. So
it's a meaningful game for Tennessee. They're right in the thick of it.
They pulled off a huge upset last week over Kansas City. No one expected that at all.
And that was what's his name? Head coach of Kansas City. I forget his name now. Andy Reid.
Yeah.
That was Andy Reid's fault. I don't know if you saw the end of that game.
Oh, he's terrible at managing the clock.
No, it wasn't even the clock this time. Coaches are so annoying when they do this. So the kicker for Tennessee is about to try this crazy
I saw.
field goal.
And then he ices the kicker.
Right. And he missed the first one, the one that didn't count because he had called timeout. So now he gets a second chance to do it, and he hit the second one.
Of course, because he realized, I didn't kick it hard enough. I got to kick it harder this time.
If you didn't call timeout, you would have won the game.
The icing the kicker rule, it should be a whole 25-minute What Bugs Me segment. I can't stand it.
Well, that could be What Bugs Me.
They really need to get rid of that rule. First of all, it's terrible for everything that you just said because of the stupidity of it. But the fans, it's so bad for the fans watching on TV and in the stadium. It's so bad, right? You're lining up for a kick, everything's about to go. Wait till the last possible second to call timeout. They should be allowed to ice the kicker. But once everybody is lined up, there should not be allowed to call timeout.
I agree.
That should be it.
And by the way, you brought up a good point. I don't know. I've been to a couple of NFL games in person. I don't know how many NFL games you've been to.
Only one.
But I have to tell you, when you're actually at the game, the time between plays, it's different when you're at home and you can go to the fridge or whatever. But when you're actually at the game, there is so much time where nothing is happening, and it's the most boring thing on the planet.
I know, because you don't realize that when stuff's on TV, when there's a commercial and you go to the bathroom or you go get some nachos, like when you're there at the stadium, there's nothing going on.
There's nothing going on.
The players just come to the sideline and they just sit there and they wait.
Like, this is why the stupid play clock that they have, what is it? Is it 30 seconds, 25 seconds? It should be
40,
less. Whatever
40.
it is, it should be way less.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
You're listening to Skip and Josh Sports Show.
So the Habs won yesterday, 5-1.
I didn't even know they had a game till this morning.
This is a What Bugs Me.
You're getting me, boy! Are you bugging me, man? I'm gonna nail. Ooh, I'm getting bugged now. Whoa, man!
Because it's really been bugging me, and the more I thought about it all day, the more it's bugging me.
Lay it on me.
I love it. So, when I started to follow hockey, let's say when I was a kid, whatever, and then when I was into my teens and 20s, I never really understood how there was these people that were living in Montreal that were not Habs fans. And in fact, they were like Habs haters, right? You know them too, right? Don't you have friends in Montreal that are Bruins fans
and Flyers
right?
fans.
Flyers fans. But like the Bruins fans specifically, right? Like there's people that are hardcore hockey fans that really hate the home team here.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really, I sort of understood it. They're rebelling against the media, the press, the French language, whatever. There's all a bunch of reasons. But last night, I fully understood. I fully started to understand it. So the Canadiens won 5-1.
Mm-hmm.
They're in first place in their division.
And they beat a good team.
They've beat two good teams in a row, Washington and then again Anaheim last night.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with their season so far. They're playing great. Their goalie's healthy.
In fact,
they won the last two games.
Might even say they're playing better since Galchenyuk got injured.
They had 4 regulars out of the lineup last night. Galchenyuk, Desharnais, Markov, and Shaw.
Yeah.
Well, Desharnais, it's addition by subtraction, but he's still a regular.
Is Shaw injured?
He didn't play last night. Yeah, he's still injured, the concussion. Okay. And not only that, other guys that would be playing, Patterin and Hudon, are also injured. So they're reaching into the depths of their system to fill spots here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and they held Anaheim to 13 shots last night.
That's impressive.
So what am I hearing on the post-game show on the radio? The thing is, in this city, when the team wins, people don't know what to do with themselves. They don't know what to do because all we know how to do here is complain. So when the team's winning, there's nothing to complain about. So you get these crackpots calling up and complaining about the most idiotic stuff. And I can listen to a guy complaining about Galchenyuk's minutes and how come this guy didn't play on the power play, how come Pacioretty's playing on the penalty kill, how come this guy got more minutes than that guy. Last year, all we heard was how come Markov's getting more minutes than Subban. These things I can wrap my head around, right? There was a caller last night, and they replayed it all day long on the TSN radio because they're literally making fun of this guy all day. And when the call came on, at first I thought it was a joke. I'm like, this can't be real. But the host was prompting him and trying to talk to him, and literally after a few seconds, I realized that it was real, and the guy was serious, and he probably should be locked up because he's crazy. This is literally literally what he said. The Habs organization is not utilizing Youppi properly.
By the way, I love Youppi. I'll tell you that right off the bat. Me too.
That the Expos used him properly because he used to get in the face of the other team. He used to be on top of the dugout. He used to bother them.
Oh my
He's
God.
saying that Youppi should be next to the penalty box, so when other teams get penalties, he should be right up against the glass taunting them. He should be near the benches. He should be getting in the heads of the other team. And the organization needs to use Youppi in a better capacity. Now, this person...
Did you know the guy calling?
I have no idea who he is. Is clearly insane. Okay?
If he's serious, then yes.
He has nothing better to do with his life than to complain about your first place team not utilizing their mascot in a strategic way. This is not normal. When these kind of fans call in and you hear them on, now it's on the internet, so it's even worse, message boards and Twitter and Facebook and all this. I understand why people would say, I'm done with this team, because the people here are crazy. We should be the most knowledgeable hockey fans, not the most idiotic hockey fans. We have to do better than that, And it is true. The hosts on the radio station will always tell you, in every city, but I think here it's multiplied. When the team wins, they don't have anything to talk about. When the team wins, the post-game show is boring.
It's like a car accident.
Yeah,
interesting. It's more interesting than no car accident.
No matter what, if you're driving down the highway, you can't look away.
But before they rewrite Youppi's job description, they need to work on getting a better goal song.
They're never gonna, because it's like the pressure to have a French language song.
It's an awful song. I don't mind French songs, but that song is an awful song.
It's bad, I know.
The Skip and Josh Sports Show is back.
I want to give a shout out to a couple of listeners.
Yes.
Mark Nichols, as he called himself. Thanks for listening and commenting on our website. And to all those other people who liked our posts and commented, thank you very much for listening, and keep listening. We hope you enjoy the show.
Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook.
Yeah. skipandjosh.com. You can get all the links to all the episodes, iTunes, Stitcher, social media, everything's there.
We're going to, in a couple of weeks, have our NFL playoff preview.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about the World Junior Championships as they unfold.
I think maybe we'll do like a New Year episode. Maybe we'll give out some 2016 awards.
2016 review.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Talk to you
soon.
Yep.
The Skip and Josh Sports Show is over now. Don't worry, there'll be another episode soon.